How's it going? Hope you're doing as good as I'm doing, because I had a good fucking day. I'll tell you that right now. It's just same shit, different day, but just as much passion, just as much positivity. It was a great fucking day. It was one of those times in, just one of those random workouts that I'm sure everybody's had if you've been doing it for some short to medium amount of time, where you look back on like the actual progress you've made and you're like, it feels unreal how much progress has been made in such a short amount of time. It really gives me like a lot of faith and reassurance in the fact that I am making some good fucking progress. And even though it may not be visual and it might not come right away, it's coming. It's on the way. I just got to keep doing it and keep loving it. The clean and jerks were fantastic today. This is the point of me after a peak week. I do my highest volume of the new block. If you've noticed, I changed up the reps a little bit. I'm doing doubles on Olympic and sets of 4 and power lifts this month, and I'm doing 5 sets of every exercise. So the volume is a bit crazy, but that's the whole point. I'm trying to get that technique down. I'm trying to get my core strength, my stamina up, and not put too much stress when it comes to the weight itself. Because 240 clean and jerk, 355 squat, nothing new to me. That's old news. But god damn it, when you put the number 5 behind how many sets you have to do, it gets a little scary. But it's fun. You kind of have to just turn on the mindset of just enjoying and appreciating the effort that you're going to put in for those 5 sets, even if it's weight that you're going to hit, that you got, that may be a struggle by the end of it because of how much intensity there may be when it comes to the volume. But, getting that general appreciation always makes it so much more worth it, and especially even though I don't know exactly where I'm going to be at by the end of every block of every program I do, I'm full committed to the idea that I'm doing everything to the best of my power, and every experience is a learning experience, whether or not I do it perfectly or I do it with the worst. If I have the worst workout of my fucking life, that can be a positive movement. Everything is a step forward if you allow it to be. But the squats also felt very, very good. I will say the core, if you could believe it, doing 5 sets of clean and jerks and 5 sets of squats, especially doing the squats after, core was a little tired, but I had a really, really good vertical drive because it's one of those weights where I don't have to worry so much about my main muscle group strength. It's just a matter of holding my core tight and making sure the form is there. So I kind of felt like the Asian lifters that you may see in the Olympic training halls, where they like kind of jut their head back and like push up as high as they fucking can. I kind of felt like I was embodying that, at least mentally. But regardless, it was a great day. So physically, a solid 8.9, just before a 9. I think that like if it was like heavier weight that I had to get more hyped for, it would have been there, because that's kind of just how it is sometimes. Even if it feels just as good as a heavier weight, the volume can make it just that little bit harder to where it's a little difficult to feel as together as I'd want to be. But again, the effort's there. It feels fucking fantastic. Otherwise, mentally, homie support today was awesome. I got one of my great friends. I was talking to one guy about how he was like trying to figure out what to program because he's always super tired and it's hard to balance weightlifting with competitive running. And then my my engineering weightlifter friend, that's basically a fucking rocket scientist at this shit, pulled out his physics graph to explain how he programs. And that shit just lights me up every time, because it's just even more proof to show that there is always a new fucking way to learn how to do anything that requires just a good amount of passion. Like, everybody's got their own way of figuring it out. But I guess on that note, I wasn't really sure what to go into. Just kind of hit the button and I love these videos so much because I start talking and I get the shit out that I don't realize is just sitting in my head, and that kind of leads me to what I want to really get into, so that I can focus on what I'm most passionate about today. But anyway, I am a little bit more energetic, so I'm sorry if I seem a little cracked out. But anyway, we were talking about basically the importance of, sometimes taking a step back to learn how to predict your weightlifting or just your athletic career in general. Whenever I'm writing a program for myself and trying to adapt to my body every new month, or just trying to see what I can do better at, because like right now I have 3 months worth of programming written out, but it's not that I know it's going to work. It's just what I could put together to the best of my ability through the experience that I've gathered to this point, to where I'm trying my absolute hardest to predict exactly how fatigued and how good I will feel on my very last peak week at the end of all of the 3 months, so that I can properly hit legitimate PRs without hurting myself, and also being as strong as I can be, And he was like, my buddy today was going back and forth about how it's just really hard to trial and error when it comes to running and weightlifting, because some days he feels great and sometimes he'll get in the gym and he'll be more fatigued than he realized, because he may feel physically fine because he has the stamina and cardio to do running like a full athlete, but when it comes to translating cardio to weightlifting, it's hard to put any weight up. That's kind of why when it comes to bodybuilding, they stick to cardio and very lightweight for a lot of reps, and he wants to put up at least a little bit heavier weight. Not like how I do full on strength building, but just something to be not like the average 12 to 15 reps, something like more like 6 to 8, and then sometimes maybe getting to go a little bit heavier, which is always fun to work toward. And I've always preached this, when it comes to my programming, people, when I first got into this shit and was trying to teach myself how to do it, I was told by every fucking person I knew that was further along the line in terms of experience in Olympic lifting, that I just should cut out bench completely. Even if I really like it, if I want to be a full-time Olympic lifter, I should just never do it again. And sure, for 100% efficiency and getting as strong as I possibly can in Olympic lifting, cutting out bench would be more beneficial. But I love it too much. I train for squat, bench, snatch, and clean and jerk. I don't just train for snatch and clean and jerk. And squat isn't just an accessory for my Olympic lifts. I like them individually on their own, I've got a very open relationship when it comes to my main lifts. But I trial and errored for a good year and a half, which, it's a long time, but it's fully committing to something like that over the course of so long. You just eventually get to the point where you can really understand your body and see what you can actually pinpoint in the moment. I feel like today, for example, or most days, I can do set, especially yesterday my snatches, I can do a set, immediately see the tiny little nitpicks that I am normally really good at, that I want to hit well, even if the rep looks picture perfect. If it doesn't feel as up to standard as I'm used to doing, then I will go, I'm not going to beat myself up over it. I'm just going to be okay, well, I got several sets to do, so let's see what I can change throughout these sets to make it better along the way. Yesterday, for example, on my snatches, I started by over exerting myself on the third pull, because I was thinking super hard about pulling the bar into my hips, that I accidentally overdid it, which is not a thing I'm normally used to fucking up. And even though it looked fine, I pushed my torso forward and it was hard to balance properly. So I, took my time. I really felt it out, and got the most vertical pull without overdoing it possible. And it made it, by the end of the fucking workout, I knew exactly what I wanted to work on next time I do snatches, so that I don't repeat the same process of fucking it up and then having to rebuild it. I want to do as perfect of a full 5 sets as I can. That's the whole point of the volume. It's consistency. So similarly to the way you're trying to predict your program, you kind of just have to take a step back and be okay, this and this and this normally does not work for me the way I want it to, or I feel shitty on these days, so let's see what I'm working out on those days and pinpoint why. Even if I'm not completely accurate, let's just look at the things that are the most strenuous and see either how we can adapt them or switch them around. Just recently, I've trained back squat and bench before my Olympic lifts for fucking ever. I didn't change that until 2 months ago, And it's one of the best changes I've ever made, because I'm slowly getting to the point where I am more reliant on my technique than my overall strength. So if I do my power lifts first, then going into my Olympic lifts second, I'll lack on my technique. But if I do Olympic lifts first and do my power lifts second, I'll only lack in my strength a little bit. And if you're keeping your body safe as the number one priority and not worrying too much about how much weight you're putting up every fucking day, because you shouldn't, it'll come if you put in the work. So I'm not weaker because I do Olympic lifting first. It's the strength. I can't put in as 100% as I normally could, but I would rather sacrifice strength than technique for the training that I'm doing. And he's like, oh, well, how'd you figure that out? And I'm like, buddy, you just got to try everything. That's the whole point of trial and error. Like, it sucks in a way, because you got to have full faith in just being able to do your best with a program that you have no idea if it'll work. But that's also, like, it's the same with life. It's just the ambiguity of it is what, like, I always say, like, the mystery of life is supposed to be fun if you allow it to be, because you're just trying to take every day one step at a time and just enjoying yourself to the best of your ability, because you never know what you're going to go through. So, like, treat every day like a new day. It doesn't have to be some stagnant, monotonous day where you just did the same thing over and over and over. You can think about how your mentality's changed, how your lifts have changed, your technique, the way you interact with people, just the overall positivity that you had that day. How does it not so much compare, but like through the perspective of you from the day before, would they rather walk in the Jesus, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Would the you from yesterday rather stay in his own shoes or walk in the shoes of you today? As complex as I made that fucking sound, you just want to be able to put in as much productivity through a good mindset as you can, because it doesn't matter so much if you succeed every single day when it comes to the numbers and the material shit. It just matters that you put in the absolute best that you've got, so that you know that at least next time you will make sure you make progress, and you know for a fact that you put certain amounts of effort in certain areas. It's gets me going, Do not mean to be super over the top about it, but it gets me going. You got to really have, it's not so much having faith in the program, but more so having faith in yourself, in the amount of effort that you're willing to put into it, because it is all up to you on how successful that you're going to be. Even if you don't hit the numbers you expect to, or everything doesn't feel as good as you wanted it to. Like, my peak week was on the last program was way too much, but that's okay, because now it feels fucking awesome because I'm learning. Anyway, I feel like that was a bit of a fucking ramble, but I didn't really have a whole lot to talk about. And it's good to make sure that you really give yourself the room to grow, while not, I don't mean it to sound overcomplicated, but the same thing I told my friend today is, try to not let this overwhelm you, but you gotta think just enough to make analytical changes that are genuinely, they're like, you can see yourself actually doing them to a proper degree of effort, or on the other end, you also can't overthink it. It's overthinking just enough to the point where you don't burn yourself out. Holy shit. I do not have my vocabulary with me today. I'm sorry. But take it all with a grain of salt. It's just me. I love going off about it. And, don't stress too much. You will be fine. Just do it one day at a time, and you will get better every single day. Even if it takes longer than other people, you'll get there. In your own way. Something else I said is that everybody even though I'm doing the same lift as so many other people do, I learned it my own way. Even though it looks exactly the same, I figured it out my own way. Everybody has their own mental cues, physical cues, different physiques, eating habits, sleeping habits, anything. And that's such a big thing. So just take your individual body and just take it one step at a time. That's all it is. So I'll be back tomorrow. We got snatching and bench press. It'll be a bit of a chill day. Good bit of volume for the shoulders, but we will push through. So appreciate you hanging out. Let me know how the lifts and the lives have been going, and I'll be back tomorrow. See ya.